Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with Warhammer 1's campaign in Warhammer 3. This is a mod. You download it, you install it, you start a campaign as one of the legendary lords available in Warhammer 1, or most of them, not all of them, at least in this current version, and then you have a button right here which says Activate Old World Campaign. You click it, takes a bit, but then the map is changed to match Warhammer 1. Now, it does take a bit, but as Archon, for instance, over here, I got teleported from the fortress right there, in next to Vlad, which will be my initial settlement in this campaign. So you fight a minor battle right there, you take Vlad from the Norskins, you vassalize them in this campaign very easy, and you have a Dark Fortress as a starting point. That doesn't mean, however, it's going to be easy because all of Kislev is unified in this campaign. So let's take a look at how this is done. So it is the Immortal Empire's map with all of the territories, all of the regions from Immortal Empires. But all of the regions outside of the Warhammer 1 campaign area are destroyed. So you can move for here, though your replenishment is disabled or limited, your movement range is limited, you can't take any territory. So while all the landmarks, all the territories do technically exist, you're not really going to be able to, or you're not going to be able to use them. Besides that, you have almost the exact situation that you have in Warhammer 1, just with Warhammer 3 mechanics. So think of quality of life things, but you can replay the Warhammer 1 campaign. It's not a perfect fit in every single way, but for years personally I've wanted to play Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 even in Warhammer 3 because of the quality of life changes, diplomacy, and so on and so forth. And this is what this particular mod allows you to do. Sure, there's map changes between Warhammer 1 and 3, but you have largely the same situation. Some differences, some key differences to be sure between the maps, between the factions, but all the same. So you've got Norska, you've got Archon, and also as Archon, you don't just have Archon, you've got Sigvald and Kolek, none of the other Warriors of Chaos. No faction that was added, or most of the factions that were added later on, are not added here. A couple of exceptions, like for instance, you do have Elspeth, though I believe you can't actually play as Elspeth with this mod. A few issues like Skarsnik starting with a rune settlement when you do start it here. So some issues, it's not perfect, but it does allow you to replay that Warhammer 1 campaign in Warhammer 3. So if you want to see Grimgor ravaging the dwarves or Thorgrim trying to reunite the realm, you can do so. There's going to be some issues here, but it does work surprisingly well, all things considered, in Warhammer 3. On top of that, the mod creator has also made the Chaos Invasion mod, which works with this, I believe, that basically makes it so that when you're not playing Archon, he gets a bunch of significant buffs. So he's going to have those two other legendary lords, he's going to get those confederations, just like, for instance, Thorgrim is going to get Grombrindal. Unfortunately, you can't play Grombrindal or Azag or anything like that over here, so you can't get their faction effects. Same with Gelt. Solon starts under Elspeth's control. You do have Manfred and Vlad right next to each other. Of course, we can't get rid of Manfred, unfortunately. But Archon can be supercharged to become a real powerful endgame frame. There is also a Shield of Civilization mod. Now, what would I like beyond what we have here? Beyond, you know, having the factions of Warhammer 1 and their starting position, from that game here. Well, I think there could be another version of it. Like, this is great, don't get me wrong. But there could be another version of this which adds things like Ikekla, Hellpit, Queek. That would be great. Kislev. I do think Kislev should be under Katrin. Right here. Kislev Sega. Maybe it would make sense to at least have two provinces over here, so you could have like Borsers and Archeon, so you could have that journey, maybe Arbol as well. But that's just a perspective on the subject. It does what it's meant to do. Though one of the things that I believe would make perfect sense would be to swap out Mogr and Khazrak. Just saying, Mogr and Khazrak should be in different positions. I know that is where it starts. So you got Khazrak in Estalia, Mogr in Norland. Lore-wise, makes sense to swap them. There are certainly some issues the way Warhammer 1 was handled. A number of issues, but all the same, lots of great things over here, lots of things to enjoy. So if you want to replay the Warhammer 1 campaign in Warhammer 3, this is the mod for you. You also have Belegar starting with Karak-Azor as opposed to starting with a minor settlement, so significant benefit over there in his campaign, but he's also going to get Scarsnake next to him to deal with. The big question is, how does it really play out? How does the AI handle it? Well, surprisingly well. We do have a campaign as Forgrim, turn 19, and we can take a look at the campaign map and the things that have happened. Well, Karak-Azul has practically been wiped out. Grimgor is just, well, being Grimgor. I suppose that is an appropriate way of describing the situation right there. He's just a major nuisance. The Crooked Moon mutinous kits, they're obviously a bigger problem. Their AI seems to be very active, whereas in the base game they're far more passive, so there's maybe some issues with regards to their AI. But yeah, you do have a fight on your hands as Grimgor, but you're also still freaking Grimgor if you do decide to play him. Grudges seem to have worked out just fine for the most part. Scarsnake is just, well, he's fighting Elspeth at this point. Vlad and Manfred are just busily conquering parts of the Empire, or at least Vlad is. Manfred is just being, well, Manfred in a lot of ways. He's at war with Ungrim because, of course, he is. Ungrim is kicking ass, taking names. But yeah, this is a fairly interesting situation to consider because you do have, because these factions have less rivals, but because territories are close enough, you do start seeing factions that are becoming stronger in some ways. Like, look at this Archeon. Like, you've got Kolic, you've got Archeon, you've got another army over there. And this is without the Chaos Invasions mod. Because, like, yeah, obviously Kislev's not going to be able to stand up to Archeon when Kislev is controlled by a minor faction. So, they have an issue. Wulfric is invading Nordland. Great. Krakadrak, you don't have Malachi here. So Krakadrak is wiped out. Britannia seems pretty safe and secure. But I'd probably recommend if you're going to play this, play with the Chaos Invasion mod. Because like basically in that one, Archeon under the control of the AI, he gets a lot of buffs. So faction potential maxed out, I believe. Maybe it's a bit too ridiculous. At level 30, he vassalizes Norska. And that means that you get Wulfric, Trog, and the other Norscan factions, if there's any still left, they do start becoming a problem. So it's not a cakewalk of a campaign. You might think, oh, the Order Tide is just going to dominate it. You got Grimgor to deal with. You got Vlad and Manfred, as much of a joke as Manfred, or as much of a despicable character is. But yeah, the Empire is much stronger on this situation. For a number of reasons, you know, just territorial changes, all that, like Black Pit Orcs not really being a thing, not being a problem. But performance-wise, it's pretty good. Like, I'll just auto-resolve this, take over this territory, and just end the turn, just so I can go over the performance right here. So yeah, right now, by turn 19, this is on Legendary, keep in mind that. But by turn 19, like, that end time is sweet. That feels good. Not gonna lie. Like, if there's an issue I've always had with these mega maps that Creative Assembly has done is, like, the actual performance of it. And I do believe that at least limiting the map in some ways, removing portions of the map, so you could have an Old World campaign, you could have an Eastern campaign, an Ulthuan campaign. Like, think of recreating Warhammer 2's campaign, the Vortex campaign map, without the Vortex mechanic, but just the Vortex campaign map in free. Like basically everything east of here, or much of it, would be disabled. That's just an idea, right? That is just simply an idea on that specific subject. Man, this feels pretty good. I do like it. I think it can lead to some interesting campaign scenarios. So if you're sick and tired of how campaigns do feel in Warhammer 3 right now, give it a try. Can be fun. And I have to say, I've been playing mods for a very, very long time. You know, custom maps, all that from Warcraft 3, StarCraft 1. And while I've always appreciated the big, overhauls and all that, I also find that some of the simpler stuff can be just as enjoyable. Like, this is obviously not necessarily a complicated thing to necessarily do. Maybe there's some tools that have been released recently, I don't know. But it is something more simple, but it can be really fun from my perspective. So, if you want to play the old world, but don't want to play the massive gargantuan freaking map that the old world campaign has, this might be something that interests you. Costin, signing out.